Hello, everybody, and welcome back to once again some more EUIC content, looking at VGC Swiss Stage round number 5 here between two absolutely lovely people in the VGC community. We're going to go ahead and switch over here. We're not going to click play yet because I just found this phenomenal frame on the stream of Jeudy Azzarelli and Joseph Ugarte just having the time of their lives, just hanging out. I highly recommend following both these people on their social medias. Joseph puts out great content on YouTube for VGC. Jeudy is a phenomenally entertaining person as well. Check them both out. But we have some games to get into. Now, these teams are pretty exciting, mostly because these players are great team builders, but they also have some fun, exciting things that, while not necessarily uncommon, you wouldn't be shocked to see them, they bring some extra spice. They bring some creativity. And both these players are very creative players, and they will do interesting and exciting things throughout this series. And I might bite my tongue here, but already looking at this Urshifu Rapid Strike style on Jeudy's team, we have Choice Scarf and Coaching. It's not uncommon for Calyrex Ice Rider teams to have this, but it is still a very, very fun thing to see. And we also have Indeedee Female with Heal Pulse. Very interesting and very exciting options on these two Pokemon. The rest of the squad, Calyrex Ice Rider, Landorus Incarnate, and another Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon on the stream, by the way. This dude stays, or I'm sorry, this lady stays winning. And then to round out the team, a Pelipper with Covert Cloak, not a Focus Sash or a Rocky Helmet, which are the two more common items, along with Weather Ball, Helping Hand, and Wide Guard. Brings in the Drizzle, sets up some rain here, helps Calyrex against any fire-type matchups that it doesn't necessarily want to deal with, and overall, a well-rounded team with very interesting options in that Coaching and Heal Pulse move selections. Again, not Pokemon that you're shocked to see, but some very creative and interesting move choices that make the standard calculus for these Pokemon much, much different. For Joe here, you have Ditto, Focus Sash, Transform, a phenomenal choice. It is Terra Normal, notably, which could come out pretty big. Iron Hands, very standard with the Assault Vest, and this is a Swords Dance Urshifu Rapid Strike. There is no Aqua Jet here. Detect, Swords Dance, Close Combat, and Surging Strikes, Terra Poison as well. Grimmsnarl, Foul Play, quite frankly, is huge. Foul Play can do absolute numbers when a Calyrex Ice Rider is getting increased attack boost from taking out your teammates, along with Light Screen, Reflect, and Thunder Wave. A Miraidon that's very, very standard choice specs: Electro Drift, Draco Meteor, Dazzling Gleam, and Volt Switch. This might be close to like the bulkier Miraidon that won Worlds, or it could just be all out aggressive. And then the big elephant, that Volcarona with a Citrus Berry. Volcarona can often have multiple different types of sets, but that is very, very clearly going to be a supportive Volcarona with redirection, trying to stay bulky. It has the ability to do damage, don't get me wrong. Volcarona has great just base special attack. It can absolutely do work, and it can especially do work against Calyrex Ice Rider. Coming into game one here, we see Jeudy brought the Indeedee and the Calyrex Ice Rider already, and Joe has brought the Grimmsnarl and the Miraidon. Calyrex Ice Rider hates to see a Grimmsnarl coming. Foul Play here is terrifying. Now, big for Joseph here. Thunder Wave isn't going to do anything against Indeedee or Calyrex because of the Psychic Terrain. All that means, though, is it makes Joseph's plans a little bit simpler. Reflect or Light Screen is going up here, and since there's Calyrex Ice Rider, Reflect makes a lot of sense, or the Foul Play. Indeed, does become the center of attention with Follow Me here, so Foul Play would have to go into it if that's used, and since Volt Switch is coming out of the Miraidon, I'd be interested to see what this Grimmsnarl, or actually, we know what this Grimmsnarl is going for. It's going for Foul Play since we did not see the Reflect or the Light Screen. Joe, though, with that Volt Switch, a lot of good options in the back, but we see that Volcarona come out. Calyrex right now does not like what he's seeing on Joseph's side of the field. That is a lot of damage onto the Grimmsnarl. Foul Play is going to take the Indeedee down to only 30 HP. So with that Rocky Helmet, Grimmsnarl is very, very low. And notably, Grimmsnarl moved after Calyrex, even without Prankster. Without Prankster. So this is a no speed investment Grimmsnarl, but Grimmsnarl also is not the slowest thing in the world. But this Calyrex, it's telling me, has some stats into its speed. And it also notably has Never Melt Ice, which is very interesting on the Calyrex Ice Rider. I should have taken note of that before. But the Volcarona takes out the Indeedee. The Indeedee did not go for Follow Me. Could have been likely going for a Heal Pulse or something along those lines. The Glacial Lance come out. Grimmsnarl is going down here, but Volcarona is going to take it a lot better thanks to that Reflect that Joseph set up. that Reflect is going to be on this field for a long time, likely through the rest of the game, thanks to the Light Clay that the Grimmsnarl has, and Jeudy is going to have to contend with that for the rest of this series. Now, this Volcarona is scary for the Calyrex, but Volcarona does not like to see a rock. It is a bug and fire type. A single Ivy Cudgel is going to make it turn into a smear on your windshield, but Miraidon is back in. Notably, it is now electric terrain that gets set. Miraidon is now much bulkier, much more boosted, has a lot more damage that it can throw out here. Calyrex and Ogerpon have no damage on them, which is pretty sweet if you are Jeudy. But right now, Jeudy does not have the speed advantage. Ogerpon can absolutely redirect here, which it's going to feel pretty good about. But Calyrex, I don't even think with a super effective Glacial Lance with the Nevermelt Ice is going to KO a Miraidon through that Reflect unless there's a critical hit involved. Volcarona can also go for some pretty big damage here. I imagine it has, a few different options in terms of damaging moves, or at least a couple, but we will have to wait and see. Joseph goes for the Terra Fairy on the Miraidon, doesn't want to take that weakness hit anyways, and honestly, a Dazzling Gleam seems pretty sweet right here. I'm not gonna lie, and that's exactly what comes out. That is going to break Ogerpon sturdy, and it's going to do a decent chunk of damage to this Calyrex, just under half HP. Ivy Cudgel comes out, that's a dead Volcarona every single day of the week. Volcarona goes down. Calyrex is going to get a single target hit here with that Glacial Lance. Actually goes for the Trick Room instead. Jeudy taking a phenomenal opportunity here to swap around those speed advantages. And now Joseph is down to his last two remaining Pokemon. Sending out the Urshifu. This is absolutely going to be the other fastest thing on the battlefield. It does not want to take a Power Whip. It does have this one doesn't have coaching. This one has Swords Dance and Detect. I don't know. I doubt we'd see a Swords Dance come through here. We might see a Protect or a Detect. And I would be very, very surprised if Miraidon goes down on this turn. Miraidon can do a lot of damage to the Ogerpon. And Urshifu can do a lot of damage as well, but the thing is that if you are Jeudy, that you have to try to think of is, do you want to try to take down this Urshifu? Because with the Power Whip, if it hits, you probably could. Miraidon is very, very low here. Surging Strikes comes out. It's actually slower than the Ogerpon. That is huge to know. That is absolutely huge to know. It is indeed that bulkier Urshifu, and that makes things much different for Jeudy here. Dazzling Gleam comes in, and it lands on Calyrex. It's not even a crit. It was a low roll previously, and maybe a bit of a high roll here, and the Calyrex goes down. Landorus Incarnate is going to be the next Pokemon to come out here, and unless this Landorus is not max speed, if this thing has any speed investment, I am certain that this Urshifu is going to be slower than it, and so in Trick Room, it'll be moving first. That I think could just mean the end of this series. Miraidon will, this is a Life Orb Sheer Force Landorus. It's going to do a lot of damage. It just will. But Urshifu goes first. It hits that Swords Dance. Joseph is very, very confident that this Urshifu is going to be making it into the next turn. Sludge Bomb comes through, and Miraidon goes down. There is no Terra out of Jeudy yet. Maybe trying to anticipate a close combat call or something along those lines. Give Landorus another turn. But now Urshifu is going to have the opportunity to get damage in. Jeudy cannot protect here. Unseen Fist is an absolutely insane ability, and Urshifu is going to be hitting into this Landorus no matter what. Right now, this is kind of a 50-50 for Jeudy. Do you want to resist Surging Strikes more, or do you want to resist close combat more? And Jeudy made the wrong call, and the first hit of Surging Strikes, takes out Landorus, and Joe goes up 1-0 in this series so far. That game had a couple of key ways that it could have gone based off of very not incorrect decisions, right? You have 50-50 decisions, and if you just don't get the 50-50 right, that's not unlucky. That means the other person made a better choice or just made a different choice, and you didn't misplay. It's just two good players making choices. At the end of the day, somebody has to win. Joseph very well could have gone for the close combat there, which would have made things much different. The Terra, all sorts of different things could have happened there. There is a number of choices that made that game infinitesimally swing in Joseph's favor. But we're going to go ahead into game number 2 here between these two players. I'm excited to see what this one brings us. There is no change for Joe in the lead, but Jeudy does make the alteration. No Indeedee on the battlefield, instead brings the Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon out to play. So Grimmsnarl, once again, has the ability to set up Reflect, Light Screen, and click the Foul Play button. However, Now it can also click Thunder Wave if it so chooses. It obviously doesn't have to, and you're kind of in an iffy spot where if you do Thunder Wave, well, you're making Jeudy's Pokemon slower, so then they're even more likely to underspeed your slower Urshifu in Trick Room. That said, we see the Reflect come out, Volt Switch into the Calyrex lands into the Protect, and this gives this Ogerpon an opportunity to get some damage out. It is going to be the Ivy Cudgel. It's going to do a decent chunk of damage. Miraidon comes down to just over half HP. The Reflect coming in clutch for that Grimmsnarl. So, we could see light screens here, although Jeudy didn't bring any terrifying special attackers. Well, I guess Landorus is his big special attacker coming into this game, but it was relatively easily dealt with. I say relatively. It was kind of easily dealt with. But Joseph has plenty of time here, could set up a foul play. That Calyrex can't protect on this turn, and so Jeudy does switch it out in anticipation of this, but Grimmsnarl could very well just go for a light screen here. It's a very safe play. It's not going to cause you too much damage, and we'll have to see. Miraidon does go for Volt Switch. It once again doesn't do anything as it goes into the Landorus. Power Up is going to come out now, does more damage to Miraidon. Still not very effective, but it gives Jeudy an opportunity to calc some damage. Foul play into the Landorus does a little bit, nothing too crazy, much less than it would have done to the Calyrex Ice Rider. And Jeudy now is in a decent position, but once again, Grimmsnarl is going to be moving first here, can set up a light screen, and all of a sudden, Miraidon and Grimmsnarl have way less to worry about when it comes to damage. Now, we see Spiky Shield come out first and foremost. We see no terrastalizations here. Miraidon is staying on the field as an electric type up against this Landorus, and that could absolutely come in big. Volt Switch comes through into the Spiky Shield. More damage onto the Miraidon. Joseph's Miraidon has been completely neutralized on these first 3 turns. Jeudy making some phenomenal calls, or actually really just being able to very intelligently maneuver the situation, especially in this last turn. Joseph has choice specs on, either has to click Volt Switch again or switch out. Volt Switch cannot do anything into the Landorus, and the Spiky Shield guarantees that the Volt Switch is not going to let the Miraidon switch out on that turn if it uses an attack. Joseph goes for the risky play there, tries to see if Jeudy will make a bit of an error, and Jeudy does not. You got to be at least a little bit lucky, and Joseph took the chance. Urshifu comes in, Grimmsnarl is on the field, both Light Screen and Reflect are up. Indeedee's Psychic Surge comes in now, and that means there is no longer any electric terrain. The Psychic Surge, the Psychic terrain is staying on the field for, again, however long it takes, either until the timer runs out for the game or until the Psychic Surge turns are up. This time, in the face of Landorus, or in the face of Urshifu, Jeudy's Landorus does go for the Terastallization. It's Terra Water. Thunder Wave comes through, but Indeedee is protected by the Psychic Terrain. We have all fell prey to that. Sansea Storm comes in, but the dodge there from the Grimmsnarl could come in clutch. That Grimmsnarl being on the battlefield while Calyrex is in the back is a permanent and constant threat. Joseph goes for the Surging Strikes into the Indeedee here, but is taking Rocky Helmet damage. This position for Joseph is really not that good. The main thing that Joseph is able to hold on to is that this Grimmsnarl is still on the battlefield, hasn't taken any damage, and might be able to take out the Calyrex later in the game. Maybe the Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon as well. But Landorus has Sludge Bomb. That's the most standard move on it. Joseph knows that that's here and takes out the Grimmsnarl to make sure that it doesn't go down. As long as Grimmsnarl is alive, ironically enough, Joseph has a win condition, and this time brings out the Ditto to copy another very powerful threat on Jeudy's side, grabbing that Landorus. And notably, Landorus, as a ground type, resists the poison type damage that Grimmsnarl would have been subject to. We do see the Follow Me from Indeedee. Once again, that Urshifu does not want to do more Surging Strikes into that slot. We see the Sludge Bomb come out, does not poison the Ditto, but Ditto takes that like an absolute champ. There is still no Trick Room set up. Jeudy is very happy just playing in kind of this very smart, slower paced game. That game 1 was very fast. Joseph was able to dominate, get a lot of damage out early. Jeudy has been able to slow it down, use the various protecting moves, use good defensive Terras and good defensive switches to control the speed of this game and control the tempo. Sludge Bomb comes through, takes the Urshifu down, and now Joseph has 2 damaging Pokemon here with a good chunk of damage, like fairly powerful. The Indeedee goes down to the Sansea Storm, and the Landorus goes low. However, the threat now becomes Jeudy gets a safe switch in to his last 2 Pokemon, one of the last 2 Pokemon, at least. And this time we are going to see Grimmsnarl come back out for Joseph. It is going to stay on the battlefield now. It cannot leave, and Calyrex Ice Rider is going to make an appearance. Again, it doesn't want to look at a Grimmsnarl, but it unfortunately is forced to. Now, one big thing here that actually could come up later, I haven't brought it up, but Ice Rider Calyrex's other ability, you know how it has that one ability that every time it takes a knockout, it gets stronger, right? That's the good one. That's the main one. It has Unnerve. And if Volcarona goes below half HP while Calyrex Ice Rider is on the field, it won't be able to eat its Citrus Berry, which could be a problem. But it's not going to be a problem in this game. If this goes to a game 3, which it's certainly looking like, it absolutely could be. Sludge Bomb comes through, Grimmsnarl goes down to half. That light screen is putting in work. Ditto goes for the Sandseer Storm. It doesn't do very much on the Calyrex. It does take down the Landorus, but that just means this Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon is going to be able to come in safely, maintaining its sturdy. Calyrex Ice Rider now gets essentially a free attack here with the Glacial Lance. It's going to do a lot to this Grimmsnarl. I don't know if it'll take it out. It does, and Ditto goes down to less than a quarter of its HP. Joseph is staring down a pretty terrifying duo here. Calyrex is going to be absolutely fine against whatever this Ditto throws into it, and Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon really won't care either. Both these Pokemon can hit hard, they can hit fast, and they do not really care what this Ditto does. Jeudy has all but wrapped up this game number 2. While it wasn't as aggressive, while it wasn't as explosive as game 1, it was just as dominant, and this time in terms of tempo, and Jeudy was able to control the pace of the game and take game number 2. Now, going into game 3 here, I wouldn't be surprised for Volcarona to come back out. It doesn't mind its matchup into most of what Jeudy is bringing, but the problem is with that Citrus Berry, which is pretty big, when you have a bulky Pokemon like that, when you have something that wants to take multiple hits, it's really nice to have some type of healing like Amoonguss has with Regenerator, or to have a sturdy like you do with Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon, or some type of other healing thing like a Citrus Berry, or like a Black Sludge, or Leftovers, or something along those lines. Volcarona is in a really awkward spot because it doesn't really have that opportunity if Calyrex is on the field. It likes being on the field against Calyrex, but without that Citrus Berry, it could be rough. And so if you're Joseph, I think you're once again trying to have the aggressive foot. Make sure the pace of the game is careening forward at a very rapid, very fast pace, and don't let Jeudy slow things down, make things more controlled, make things run at a slower tempo, keep things fast, keep things aggressive. So here we go into game number 3. And I'm very interested to see what the leads are here. We could see some changes. We do see Jeudy go back to the game 1 lead, and Joseph is sticking with that Miraidon and Grimmsnarl lead. Has not changed it. Now, Jeudy lost with this lead before. The Indeedee is going to rewrite the terrain back into Psychic. The Hadron engine for Miraidon is not going to give it that attack boost anymore. We could see a Volt Switch come out here potentially again, get that Miraidon back off the battlefield. Jeudy played that masterfully in the first few turns, but Joseph is once again going for the Reflect on the Grimmsnarl off rip, making it happen right away. And Volt Switch comes through and once again takes Calyrex down to a little over half. This is looking very, very familiar, all things considered, but I am interested to see what Joseph brings in. Did Joseph bring in something different? And yes, there is the Ditto. Personally, that tells me the Volcarona is likely not in the bag. Ditto is not a guaranteed powerful Pokemon. It can be a support Pokemon. Having that additional Volcarona might not happen, but now Joseph has a second very strong, very powerful restricted Pokemon. The Psychic comes through that is going to notably break the Ditto's Focus Sash. It's not nearly as bulky as actual Calyrex Ice Rider. It doesn't have as much HP, but it can still do just as much damage. Now, the Glacial Lance here does very little because, well, it is resisted, and this Calyrex isn't super buffed up, and it's attacking into a Reflect. So now, Joseph has the opportunity to either call a Light Screen or go for a foul play. No Thunder Wave can hit the field now. Light Screen isn't a huge priority because Landorus isn't on the field yet. It would take at least one turn for Landorus to come out. You know your Grimmsnarl, maybe not guaranteed, but almost certainly isn't going down on this turn. Joseph goes for the Light Screen anyways and makes me eat my words. So Jeudy's Calyrex goes for a Terastallization here, goes for the Water type, and we see the Heal Pulse. Calyrex is back up to full HP. Another Glacial Lance comes out, and again, it's going to do some damage, but we get a lot more on the Grimmsnarl. It is going down to essentially single digits of HP here. We see Ditto go for a Glacial Lance as well. Indeedee goes down below half, and Calyrex takes a little bit of chip. Jeudy right now is absolutely winning the health war, but with Reflect and Light Screen both up, Judy's damaging options are going to be much more limited. Indeedee goes for Heal Pulse once again. Calyrex is healed to full once again, and Joseph one more time is going to have to deal more damage. Glacial Lance comes out. High horsepower from Jeudy into the opposing Calyrex is very interesting. Had the opportunity to take out Grimmsnarl, and it did not take it. The critical hit onto Judy's Calyrex could come in clutch, but I don't know that it will. That is a Chilling Neigh boost, which could come up relevant, and we see the foul play. Calyrex can no longer heal up anymore. I'm very intrigued why Jeudy went for the high horsepower, perhaps calling a read or maybe a switch out, trying to see if he could catch Miraidon switching in, or maybe Grimmsnarl going for something, maybe another Thunder Wave in Psychic Terrain. I am very interested to see what that call was. Again, there are things where you want to leave your opponent's Pokemon on the field that can't really do anything, so that they don't have the opportunity to make more useful choices. Like right now, Grimmsnarl can literally only click Foul Play. You know it can only click Foul Play unless it wants to reflect the Light Screen again, which are both moves that are going to fail. Spiky Shield comes out from Ogerpon. Ditto goes for Protect as well, doesn't want to take any damage, and it looks like Joseph is maybe trying to get this Grimmsnarl to get KO'd. Jeudy goes for a Protect on the Calyrex. I'm interested to see if Joseph goes for a Foul Play into the Ogerpon. No, into the Calyrex, as Grimmsnarl is on the field again for another turn. Everything just kind of stays where it was, right? We stay in the exact same spot, except now there are no protects. That likely means that this Ditto can go down to an Ogerpon Ivy Cudgel here. It is not going to be faster than that Ogerpon, and it does go down to a Focus Sash. The Power Up is what's going to come out instead. Even through the Reflect, it doesn't matter. The Ditto falls. That's one Pokemon down. We know this Grimmsnarl is going to be slower than the Calyrex on Judy's side. The Glacial Lance comes through, and this is going to be a Grimmsnarl down. Did I say Ogerpon before? I meant Grimmsnarl. So that's two Pokemon KO'd. Joseph brings in his last two Pokemon right here and right now. This Calyrex is low, but Cornerstone Ogerpon does have full HP, and Sturdy is active. That is pretty big. Well, actually, it doesn't matter all that much. Miraidon was coming in. Psychic Terrain leaves the battlefield. Miraidon's coming in. It was going to rewrite their terrain anyways, and it's going to get that Hadron Engine boost. It's going to be the fastest thing on the battlefield, and Trick Room is not currently up. Now, noted. Keep in mind, I said Trick Room is not currently up. We do know that this Urshifu is surprisingly slow. It is that bulky Urshifu that's becoming more and more popular, although it is Swords Dance Urshifu, which normally that's a utility move like Taunt, but this is it's trying to get this Urshifu to deal even more damage, and that could pose a pretty big problem for Jeudy if he tries to set up Trick Room. Now, Protect turns are once again alive and active. Spiky Shield can come through. That said, this is only going to help against the Miraidon. Miraidon and Urshifu are both incredibly strong Pokemon. A strong special attacker and a strong physical attacker are hard to deal with. We see the Terrestrialization coming through for Joseph here. Once again, this isn't a bad spot to click Dazzling Gleam. You don't really want to click Draco Meteor here. You're in a endgame position where you have to take 3 separate knockouts, and dropping your special attack by 2 doesn't feel great. You don't really want to lock into an electric type move because there might be a Landorus in the back. And so essentially that just means it's time to click Dazzling Gleam here. We see a double Protect again. Jeudy trying to scout out some options here, save himself some time. But this gives Joseph an opportunity. If Joe called this could be a Swords Dance on the Urshifu. A setup turn here would be absolutely huge. A free setup turn, in fact, on this Urshifu. We saw how much damage it did before, but no, it's just going to be the Surging Strikes. This shouldn't KO the Ogerpon, but it is going to take it very, very low. Down to 4 HP. I don't believe that's a roll. That is likely that Jeudy has trained the Ogerpon to be able to survive that, because now it can still use Follow Me and force the Urshifu to attack into it. But we already know that the Miraidon is clicking Dazzling Gleam, and it is going to be moving first, so it doesn't really matter all that much. It's useful against faster Urshifus, not necessarily in this case, and Joseph's Miraidon takes out 2 clean KOs, and Jeudy is once again left with a single Pokemon. I have a feeling it's once again that Landorus, because that is what Jeudy has been bringing to this matchup so far. And Landorus with that, which is, and we see, okay, Jeudy is already standing up, extending the hand here. Already knows what it is. It is that Landorus in the back. It's going to go down to Surging Strikes plus Dazzling Gleam. It is not the fastest thing on the field, and it can only take 1 KO at a time. Jeudy concedes the match, and Joseph, with a very aggressive short game 3, just like in game 1, takes round 5 home. That was a very interesting match in that the games weren't necessarily close, but it's a great match for looking at it and seeing what win cons are and how different teams want to play out the game, not just in terms of inherent speed control, but in terms of the pace of the game. Jeudy wanted a slower game where he was able to utilize Protects, get slightly better positioning, make some smart changes here and there, make some good calls, whittle down Joseph's Pokemon, and then eventually outlast him, get a speed advantage at some point by setting up Trick Room, but overall a slower game plan. Joseph, on the other hand, wanted to slam it home fast. And when he was able to, he saw a lot of success. When those initial aggressive moves were denied, Joseph wasn't able to dominate the game. And that, in part, you can kind of attribute that to various speed tiers that Pokemon have, but a lot of times that can just be what a specific team is about. So always try to figure out if your team is a super aggressive one, more of a positioning, slower, methodical one, and that can help you in your games quite a bit. But that is it for round number 5 of EUIC. Until next time, be safe, be smart, make wise decisions, and farewell.